This weekend, the president made the remarkable statement that he, quote, doesn't know whether he has to uphold the Constitution. You, however, have taken a different position, both in your confirmation hearing and when you took the oath of office. You said that you were committed to complying with the Constitution. Do you still stand by that statement?
Absolutely. I believe President Trump
Excellent.
as well.
Let's start with Article 1, which gives Congress and only Congress the power of the purse. No money shall be drawn from the Treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law. But this administration is freezing, terminating, and even clawing back federal grants and awards that were already signed into law. These are taxpayer dollars that were appropriated by Congress for the specific purposes that we laid out. So, Secretary, let me ask you, do you believe the administration has the authority to subvert appropriations law to freeze and terminate congressional funding?
The administration and the Department of Homeland Security used our authorities that we have to evaluate every grant that was in front of us and meet statutory requirements, but also to make sure that they were being spent appropriate.
So, of course, the president is within his authorities.
Make sure that
ma'am, this is my time. Thank you so much. Of course, the president's within his authorities to drive policy decisions within the bounds of federal law and the Constitution, but that's not what you've been doing. What I'm asking is whether you believe you have the authority to ignore appropriations law. Do you believe that the Constitution gives the executive branch unilateral authority to withhold funds appropriated by the legislative branch?
We have evaluated grants to make sure if they're being spent appropriately, and work that is underway and was authorized has continued. Other grants that have not been started and have not been authorized or obligated, we have reevaluated. And I think you're talking specifically about grants potentially within FEMA that were non-disaster related grants.
I'm talking broadly, ma'am, and Article 2 does not give the executive the authority to withhold funds, period. And multiple courts have weighed in to agree. Multiple courts have ruled in agreement. Congress controls the power of the purse. That is a fact. That's not a question. That is a fact. And so if the president disagrees with certain spending, Congress passed the Impoundment Act to create a legal process to seek rescissions, and we expect him to follow the law. This administration is not just ignoring the constitutional power of the people's elected representatives. It is also violating the fundamental right of individuals. Do you believe that the Constitution grants everyone in our country the right to due process, including non-citizens?
The administration has the authority to.
Ma'am, I'm looking for a yes or no question. Yes or no. Do you believe the Constitution? Yes, ma'am. Do you,
we have not conducted
reclaiming
any
my
kind
time,
of
Mr. Chairman?
Time is yours.
Okay. Secretary Noem, I'm just looking for a yes or no here. Do you believe the Constitution guarantees due process to everyone in America?
Due process is exactly what this Congress lays out.
Yes or no?
Okay,
ma'am, I'll take that as a no. Excuse me, I'm trying to ascertain your understanding of the law as it applies to your department, and you as its leader should be able to give us a yes or no answer, because judge after judge has ruled that the law is not being followed. Do you believe that the U.S. government has the authority to deport American citizens?
No, and we are not deporting U.S. citizens.
I'm so happy to hear that you do not believe that the law gives you that authority, because the federal government has no authority under U.S. laws to deport any American citizen. And as I know, everyone viewing this hearing today knows that several American citizens have been deported to date. Secretary Noem, that was not a question. Secretary Noem, that oath that we both swore before taking office was to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. Not the president, not a political party, the Constitution. And that's what we're going to keep doing here at the Appropriations Committee. Thank you. I yield back. Secretary Noem, you've designated the Army's 250th birthday parade in Washington, D.C. on June 14th as a national special security event, meaning DHS will use taxpayer funding to help with enhanced security and support. June 14th is also President Trump's 79th birthday. At the same time that this administration is canceling critical cybersecurity and disaster recovery funding under the guise of so-called waste and abuse, it's being publicly reported that this event will involve a full military presence crossing the Potomac from the Pentagon to Constitution Avenue. We recently received your fiscal year 2025 spend plans for the Secret Service, but the costs for this event were not included. What do you estimate you'll be spending on this, and how do you plan to pay for it?
I can get those details and get back to you. I don't have them with me today, but I will certainly take that as a follow-up to your question.
Okay. Do you plan to designate NSSEs for the birthdays of other branches of our armed services that do not share their birthday with the president, but also happen to be celebrating their 250th anniversaries in 2025.
I will look and work with the administration and with the different departments and agencies to identify what would be appropriate for all of those, and we'll continue to keep you updated on that as well.
Now I want to focus on CISA for a moment. America is under constant and growing threat from cyber criminals and foreign adversaries, as we're still seeing with Salt Typhoon. Last week you said we should, quote, just wait for the president's grand cyber plan. But you have not waited to erode the department's cyber defense capabilities by removing resources and personnel from CISA and other components. Meanwhile, bad actors are burrowing further into the critical infrastructure of this country. On what date can we expect to receive the president's cyber plan, and why are you moving forward now with workforce reductions and other changes to relevant DHS components without it?
CISA's mission is to hunt and harden and to work with our state and local entities on critical infrastructure. So to support cybersecurity infiltrations that would happen from enemies and bad actors when it comes to electrical grids, water systems, support those states, those small and medium-sized businesses that can't afford that kind of defense system themselves, and to go and walk alongside of them. I think one of the most alarming things that I heard when I was first nominated for this position, but before I was sworn in, I got briefings from CISA and from the leadership team and the people that were there, and one of the things that they shared with me was that they were aware of Salt Typhoon and Volt Typhoon, but they didn't know necessarily how they had happened yet or how to stop them into the future. That was alarming to me. It was alarming to me that we had the nation's top leading cybersecurity agency that didn't know how to stop the PRC and our enemies from coming in and hacking into our systems. And if we think a pandemic was scary, wait until the PRC in China comes in and shuts down our electricity.
Obviously.
And
so
our
when
water.
are we getting
So
the president's cyber plan?
That is what CISA is focusing on, is making sure that we're approaching cybersecurity from the importance that it is.
I had a direct question.
Yes.
Do you know when the president's cyber plan will be released?
It will be coming out shortly, and that is the president's prerogative.
Okay.
I have been
Thank you.
advising him on what
Thank
that
you.
will look like.
Despite the growing cyber threats, your budget cuts nearly $500 million from the main agency charged with protecting our federal networks and so much more. So if you are so outraged by the threat of the PRC and our federal networks, why are you cutting $500 million? When you recently spoke at the RSA conference, you said that we needed to put CISA, quote, back on mission. But let's be clear, that mission is designated for you. We in the Congress told you in the department and CISA how to execute on that mission. And you all have been moving money away from CISA, and that does not help achieve that mission. Lastly, Secretary, as a nurse, I have always prioritized taking care of the health of our DHS workforce and giving them the tools that they need to do their jobs, not just physically, but mentally. DHS has made great strides in recent years here with popular programs that provide personnel and their families with the resources that they need and the support for the mental health of our agents and officers. I hope that these programs can continue for fiscal year 2026. And I'm curious if you agree that this is a priority for the department, and will we see continued funding for it in the budget request?
Absolutely, we will continue to focus on the priorities of the healthcare needs of all of our employees.
Great. Well, although we disagree on many other issues, I hope that taking care of the hardworking men and women at DHS can be an area of shared values and bipartisan success, and I'm looking forward to working on them together. I yield back.